What is going on, folks? This is CJ here, Morphin Metacast, and I am here with Rich from Sentai Jackets. How is it going, sir?
Hey, pretty good, man. I'm glad to be here. This is exciting.
Oh no, trust me, it is. Last time I talked to you guys, it was at Power Morphicon last year. Y'all had just came off I won't say the tail end of y'all like rollout for the Lightspeed Jackets. And it was kind of amazing when y'all did the initial sort of rollout for it, and just kind of like all the way leading up to Power Morphicon, just seeing the reaction from everyone. Like it was to the point that I saw people that maybe haven't seen Power Rangers in a while, like, hold up, what is this? And like I think I think when I got the jacket shipped to me and I wore it at one of the conventions, people were like, hold up, dude, where'd you get that jacket from? And I had to tell them. And I remember Nick was telling me when I interviewed him, like, that was kind of the excitement that y'all were kind of getting from y'all ends in terms of the responses that you're getting on Facebook and everything. So I saw the rollout, the initial tease of TimeForce. Like, what was sort of like from you, like, what made you guys like, all right, we're coming off of Lightspeed. What made y'all just say, all right, we're going to go TimeForce versus like maybe other seasons y'all might have wanted to kind of do?
Yeah, so I mean, when you're dealing with stuff that, again, I think you have the same passion. Like a lot of people in the fandom have this passion for Rangers. Across the board, across the years, the decades, really. We want to take our time with everything, and then living in a post pandemic world, a post COVID world. We felt that like the easiest way to roll out rescue series at the time was digitally. So we did that, and I mean, we have we have an organic reach, which is nice, as most people do. Now you can like pay for ads and stuff, which we don't do, but at the time there was some chatter. I mean, we had gotten some good response, but it was still a digital release. And I went to Japan, hung out with Nick, and we finished up everything that we were working on. And then when we seen you at PMC, that was really the first time anybody had seen it physically in person or could try them on.
Oh wow!
Oh wow! So that was like our big debut, because I mean we really hold like PMC to that level of like, if you're gonna set off to do something, like that's where you go. And like prove yourself. So prior to that, we were just doing like the Japanese stuff, which, as I mean, like being above 6 foot, it's hard to, it's really, for anybody just even regular size, it's just a hard fit to get anybody in those. But there's so much love and passion behind it. So when we started doing the US releases, we realized we could do we could cover like a bigger gamut of builds and physiques. And so I think at PMC, when we did that was like kind of like, okay, great, like this makes sense. Like people are, we contemplated about bringing up like a mirror, just a regular like mirror for your bedroom. And it was the best like $15 we ever spent, because people at that point, and you know how it is, like when you try and close, it's like, if you don't feel comfortable in it, like game over, you're not going to get it. But we didn't have to even say anything. People put the jacket on and they were like, oh my goodness, like this is crazy. So I mean, they sold themselves. They were just like, this I feel like a hero. And then we started getting like the taller, the bigger guys in, and girls, we just started getting them in, and we're like, you got it, because they're so used to seeing something in a window that they really would love to wear, like a suit or whatever it is, on the street, and just being like, well, that's not for me, like I got to keep going, and they go back home and they find their favorite hoodie or whatever that makes them feel comfortable, right? So when we were like stopping them, like, no, we got it, we got 5XL, 6XL, like people were like, what are you talking about? So that was crazy. So the reason that we pivoted from Rescue series to Time series, I don't know if you remember, but there was like a little blip where we were teasing Space series at PMC.
Yeah, I remember that.
So we got a little bit ahead of ourselves. Space series we're still working on it, but what was crazy is we were coming off of just a jacket release, right, which was Rescue series, and we were really looking to do like a full ensemble. So we want to do the pants, the jacket, all that stuff. And in our minds, we really kind of put Space as like a heavy hitter in the fandom. And what happens, we started working on Space series and Time series at the same time. And for whatever reason, we had started making more progress on Space series. So theoretically, we just assumed that would be our next release. Like that, we're like, okay, that's gonna make sense. And then, as everything does, the conventions come up very quick. People, you're still, you're painting stuff the day before. Things aren't dry. So we really kind of caught ourselves in a pickle where we just weren't ready to release it in a physical manner like that, because you know, as fans, even myself, you know, like they're hard judgers, you know. And we really didn't feel like we were there just yet with Space Series, and we didn't want to disappoint. We didn't want to be a one-hit wonder. So we kind of went back to the drawing board, you know, started like reworking a few things. And in that time Series had gotten this huge advance because we really zoned in on like the perfect fabric for it, which we call future fiber. We really kind of, like, a surprise to me and Nick as well. Like we just kind of really like leaps and bounds, like, you know, Space Series was here, Time Series was kind of lagging. You were kind of working on it, you know, in the background, and all of a sudden it just kind of took off. And we're like, you know, we could really do something really cool with Time Series at this point. So that's how we ended up getting to that level and that stage. Long story short, but it wasn't our intention. It was kind of a happy accident. We're very stoked about it. I mean, again, a digital rollout, which was, you know, in this world that we live in, I mean, that's really kind of all you can do until there's a convention coming up. We didn't have plans to do a convention this year until we realized that our schedule worked out for Ranger Stop Orlando. So we will be at Ranger Stop Orlando. That's going to be our next big convention. And we're definitely going to be debuting physically the Time Series outfit, so people can actually see it, slip it on real quick. I don't think we're going to have all the sizes, but we'll definitely have, it'll be a size where people can definitely slip it on and get a feel for it. They can touch it. And realize, like, yo, these guys, like they know what they're doing.
I meant to ask Nick this when we were talking last year, but I think I asked you, like, when you guys are kind of going through the development process, specifically like for this TimeForce, you know, rollout, this stuff, you know, I guess designing the suit and such, are y'all kind of using like an actual physical sort of like mock of the suit from the show in some way that you might have gotten access to, or is it just based off of just pictures and y'all just kind of formulated from there?
So originally when we started with Rescue Series, that's how it was. It was just like kind of references. It was really like 2 or 3 years of just like R&D, like we're really just researching, because, you know, some of those older seasons, like, you know, the quality of even on DVD are pretty rough. So I definitely had some shots of people at, you know, conventions, you know, some of the actors wearing them. With Rescue Series, it was still a long process because it's that one's a little complicated. Even just on, you know, if you look at it from like a designer standpoint, all the zippers and stuff. But when it came to Rescue Series, Time Series, now you're dealing with something that's literally supposed to be set in the future, you know, the year 3000. It theoretically shouldn't really work in today's world. You know, it is in all essence of itself, it is it looks like a costume. It looks very Star Trek-y, you know, it's very, very futuristic. And we had really kind of opened this kind of mindset of like, well, with Rescue Series, it was a real jacket, right? So how do you make something from the year 3000 a real jacket? Like, that was the dilemma that we were in. So we actually ended up getting our hands on, which, I mean, to this day, I still think is pretty crazy. We actually got our hands on a real TimeForce outfit, jumpsuit.
Wow. Okay.
Now you figure this is, you know, I mean, how many years later? So it was pretty much a ball of goop. I don't know how to say it. Man. Like, it was really not like what you had envisioned. Like it looked on, you know, on the show. It was, you know, eggshell whites. Wasn't even bright white. It was, you know, it was kind of a beige, if you will. Like, think eggnog. Okay.
Wow.
It was pretty hard to see. It was pretty hard to handle. It was pretty hard to kind of look at and just be like, man, this is our childhood. Like, just like literally just, you know, but that was the issue that a lot of this stuff has, because it was just it was meant to look good on screen for, you know, a couple of weeks. So that was a big dilemma. And when we had gotten that, it actually made it even that much more difficult, because I was like, how do we even start with this?
Yeah.
You know, like, how do you go from making something that shouldn't exist theoretically to something that exists in the year 2025 and looks good and performs just as well as you want it to in your head as if you were like a 10-year-old. So that's where a lot of our research came in, and we spent months and months and months researching and developing the perfect fabric for this jumpsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, that was what really set it apart from anything else.
Mm-hmm.
The original fabric that was used on the time jumpsuits were, at the time, was probably top of the line. I can imagine that, the costume department didn't really spare any corners when it came to that stuff, and it looked great on TV. Fast forward, all these years later, it didn't hold up as well. And that's what Nick and I kind of referred to as chrono degeneration, which is like just a cool little term we came up with, because it really, it did not stand the test of time, and that was very frustrating to us. So we, coming off of, the excitement that we had with Rescue series, we really wanted to deliver. And that was probably the hardest thing trying to figure out. So, and it wasn't just that, it was the fabric that goes around the cuffs and around the arms and, on the side. And there was a lot of layers to this that at first sight, you're like, oh, that's just a white jumpsuit. Like that's, how hard can it be? Right. So we started doing research, and we had seen a couple, cosplayers, very valiant efforts had put into it, kind of sewed some up themselves, and, had kind of screen printed some things on stuff. And it just wasn't what the essence of like Sentai Jackets was or is, or wanted to be. So all in all, it was having the actual like piece of, material in our archive was great, but it was it was like a quarter of the battle. So after that, we were kind of at a standstill for a little while. We had developed kind of how we were going to do the effect for the shoulder, the silver part, the gray part of the jacket.
Got a picture of it right
here. Oh,
there.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so so we figured out how to do that, and then which is a big part of the design aesthetically. And then we kept getting back to like, what are we doing for the white fabric? How are we making this work? So after a little bit of research, Nick and I kind of came up with a little off the cuff solution. So the fabric that we actually go with is, I guess, considered a synthetic leather, but I wouldn't call it that on its worst day. It's just really, that's not what it is. But you have to put something on the label, like what it is. But in our mind, we've referred to it as future fabric. It's a little bit thicker than it's actually quite a bit thicker than what was originally used. It holds its shape. It's abrasive resistant, which means, if you kind of bump up against a wall or something, it's not going to just shred. It's theoretically not going to yellow. It's not going to break down, crack, or get sticky. I'd say the lifespan for our new time series outfit is probably upwards of, I'd say like 20, 25 years, if not longer, I'd say probably close to between 20 and 30 years if it's taken care of properly. The thing with this one is that, again, we've done as much as we can to actually make it a real jacket. However, it's, at the end of the day, it's just a white futuristic jacket from the year 3000. So if people want to wear it, I have it here. I'll actually slip it on.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So what you see in in those photos, that you've popped up. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So this is actually the prototype.
Okay.
So there's a few changes that have been made already.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very cool. Let me zip into this. So it's a very cool design. So all this was had to be developed and worked out by itself separately from everything else. So, and then you have all this up here, and then as you can see, like, I have, as you do, like pretty broad shoulders. But we had that extra shoulder pad in there to give you kind of that V shape.
Yeah.
So it's very, very cool. But you can actually see, I don't know if it's showing up well on the camera, but you can actually see how thick
that is
this
actually
fabric is.
Yeah.
It's not It's not anything close to what was originally used on that on the real ones, because it just would not hold up over time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we got all of it down here as well. This is a separate fabric. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like almost, I think it's 7 different fabrics that just use on just the jacket by itself.
Wow.
So, and then we're actually collaborating with Henshin Vault to work on our. This is just a prototype as well, but we're gonna have these are gonna be magnetic, so you don't have to pierce the fabric at all.
Oh, nice.
And then this one, the prototype doesn't have it, but we have inside pockets, so you can slip your phone in there. Again, this one, I would describe this one as like kind of a form-fitting jacket. Like very slim fit compared to Rescue Series, where Rescue Series was a bit more
kind of like a snow jacket more than anything else. Because I could wear that. I've worn that jacket when it's raining outside, and a couple times when it was cold, and I was like, it actually feels pretty warm in there. Like,
no, it is. We definitely overdid it. We really overshot the intensity on which we wanted to make a real jacket.
Yeah.
However, there is some chatter that Nick and I may possibly revisit that project and do a slightly lighter fabric, so where it's a little bit more breathable. But we have a lot more things down the road that we want to get to. But when it came to this, it just made sense to get this one out there. And I'm just in love with this. And there's more than enough room to get the Morpher in there.
Yeah, I know that's a big deal for a lot of folks that like do the cosplay and stuff, to have that ability to have that into it.
So yeah, you kind of get that oversized sleeve look with this one. Space Series, I don't know if you remember on the show, like when they're kind of like walking around, their sleeves do look a little enlarged. It's only because you have to have that extra space in there to, if chosen, to wear the communicator, on there. Another thing that we are including, which we just announced in the pre-orders, is we are going to be including Trip's crystal, the Zybrian crystal, so you can actually get that. That'll be coming with pre-orders. I don't know if it'll stay on there. It's a little quicker. But this is a reusable crystal, so that'll go on your head, and you can actually use spirit gum or a little bit of hope and prayer, and it'll stay on. But it really ties the looking together, I think. If you choose to be quote unquote Trip, or whoever you want to be, because it's kind of a one look for all for all the Rangers. There's not really any differentiation between them. So this is one that we really were excited to get out there and have some fun with.
Yeah. Do you think from you guys' end, like with the way, like how obviously, on your site, you have all like the Japanese sort of like jackets and stuff from those shows. Do you feel like some of the American sort of like civilian suits kind of hits better for a lot of folks in terms of cosplaying, in terms of the familiarity of it and stuff, especially like when I look at, like, cause I have the Ninja Storm green outfit that I bought online. It's a little unique and different, but I always love the Ninja Storm sort of like suits and designs on that one. So do you feel like the American stuff, like with the TimeForce and Lightspeed, kind of lent itself to what you guys kind of want to do in your business model?
Yeah, I think so. Nick and I were just talking about that. We have like what we refer to as kind of the menu. And we really have kind of what we're working on is really to have something for everybody's price point. Based on different looks. Agreed with your point. Absolutely. The issue we were having with the Japanese stuff was that, again, we couldn't fit everybody. You're taking a fan base, from the US that maybe half of them know what Sentai is, so you're really kind of cutting that in half, and then you take those fans who know what Sentai is, but either love a character or relate to a character enough to actually like try to get their look. And so now you're cutting that half into a quarter. And then the people, that quarter, it's like, well, how many of them are a small to a medium? So it really, I mean, we had felt it over the years. We just felt like there was such a demand for like, quote unquote, like, jackets, but we just couldn't fill the demand with the Japanese side. It just was not working.
Yeah.
And I think it was during the pandemic, Nick and I kind of realized like, wait, if we want to do this, like, let's pivot and see where this could go, because we've always been fans. I mean, when I met Nick, this is the early 2000s when we first met at the first Power Morphicon.
Yeah.
We had known each other before, but physically hanging out. He had showed up with he had a bunch of civilian gear on already that he had handmade, or somebody had gotten to him. So when I had met him, he was wearing like jackets, and I was like, those are so cool. And growing up in like the 90s and 2000s, I mean, it was all about jackets. Jackets were like it, So so now we're in a different world, because I do think that there's a bigger reach for stuff like this. Again, it's still very niche. It's still very
for sure.
Who likes it, who doesn't, but at the same time, it's like it's what we love, and we really kind of vibe with it. And like you said, it's just subtle enough to where like you're rocking it and somebody's like, yo, wait a minute, like what is that? So you kind of really get this cool like sense of nostalgia mixed with like you're still a hero, mixed with you can still go to dinner after a convention, or like, and not like not freak out, because as spandex is my spandex days are over. I'm not doing that. Nick, bless his little heart, Nick is still doing it. He's in the gym all the time. He's doing his thing. But when it comes to that stuff, it just made sense to us, and it was such it was just 25 years in the making, man. I mean, like this we should have had this already. So
I mean, because that's what was always baffling to me, because I think during the pandemic I ended up coming across someone that was selling I think it might have been right after I might have spoke to you guys on Facebook at the time. Somebody was actually selling a Boken Red jacket that actually would fit my size. So when I got it and I wore it, I was like, man, this is actually a pretty nice jacket just to wear, just cause you don't even need a morph on the side. And I remember like I went out and wore it. This is like during the fall, so it was proper to just wear that. And Barry was like, man, that's a nice jacket. And they didn't realize it came from like, Sentai, but like the jacket itself is actually pretty nice itself just to wear, because it has a very stylish look to it. So like when I saw that Rescue series, I remember I was wearing it at MagFest and people were like, yo, that's a nice jacket. Is that from Power Rangers? I was like, yeah, it's from Lightspeed Rescue. I knew that's what it was, So I kind of figured that's what you guys were going for. Like with the, obviously with this rollout, like I had to put this up because I think this is the one that got everybody kind of excited, was this one. That was the one that everybody's like, hold up. They actually did the suit. And I was like, yeah, I think they actually did do the suit.
Yes. Yes. I kind of went into like a storytelling mode with that post. Because it was a very cool, it was kind of a full circle moment for us. We had gotten Vector Cycle, and we were just like, this is so cool. Like, what are we going to do with it? And it kind of just sat under a tarp for many, many years while we developed, Rescue series, and we developed, we actually even had it before we had Rescue series, like started and kind of like out there. So it just been kind of laying dormant for a while. And then a couple months ago, I was able to clean it up, and we did this photo shoot, and it was just a very cool moment. And it's a great piece of history.
It's a marketing material for sure. I mean,
absolutely. And Jason Font actually shared it, which was really cool of him. We don't typically work one-to-one with the actors. I mean, if the opportunity allows it, we never want to be like a nuisance. We never want to like,
if it naturally hits, then it's like,
we never want to like, kind of annoy them or bug them. But, I think something like this does really catch the eye of some people. And, it's been a very cool experience, and we're excited to show people what else we have that we're working on. It's just with us, we've been around the fandom for a very long time, Nick and I'm sure yourself, to the point where we've seen a lot of people come and go. We've seen a lot of empty promises. We've seen a lot of makers, promise you the world and then make you wait 4 years for a box, and what's crazy is that it seems that people are very content with that. Like they've just gotten like used to being just like kind of,
I mean, when you're used to be disappointed, you're kind of like, all right, we'll see what happens. And it sucks because you don't want to have that mindset, but then it's just like, all right, I guess that's just how it is,
Exactly. So we don't want, Nick and I kind of have this mindset of like, well, we're gonna do this regardless, whether it does well or not. Like, because at the end of the day, like we want this stuff, we want to wear it. And our friends and our girlfriends don't really want to wear it, or wives, but they'll put them on and make us happy. But the thing is, this is something that we've always wanted. And, we had gotten to a point where the toys were just not enough, it's nice to have the stuff on the shelf, but we're like, how do we make this a bit more mature? How do we make this a little bit more subtle? Because as the minute you put on spandex, I mean, people they know everything about you, like everything, So no pun intended, but they really do know quite a bit. And, to handle all the accessories and the helmet and your backpack and everything at a convention just gets a little tough. So we just feel that jackets are the way to go. And it's a subtle cosplay. You're not, freaking out. You're not stressed out. And you can literally just go do whatever you got to do, put it in the trunk, after you're done, drop it off in your hotel room. You don't got to change out or take a shower or, anything like that. So we're very excited that, we're able to show this side of the fandom to people, but it's still been a bit of a learning curve because, most people want Superman's suit. They don't want Clark Kent's business suit. They really, they want that that spandex
iconic
cape. Yeah, which is fine. But, as we get older, as we, quote unquote, mature, this stuff is a little bit easier. If you order something off of our website, outside of a pre-order, things ship within 2 business days. So, you have it, within the week, sooner than that, depending on where you're at, versus, some other people that, you're on a waiting list and, you have to kind of harass them and get a hold of them. And we just didn't want that to be, what SJ stood for. And we always wanted to be able to deliver exactly what we said we were. And after owning, after actually having the one that, people seen when they were kids, what we've developed here is I can leaps and bounds better than what you remember as a kid. So that's kind of the, what we really wanted to kind of get there. And we have a lot of stuff we're working on. We're a very small team. Nick and I, and we have a few, trusted, people that, what's the word? We kind of we inquire with them if they're attached to a specific season. Consultants, if you will. But yeah, we noticed really quickly that Nick and I work very well together. Also, with Hench involved, he's a great friend and ally of ours. But we do try to keep things separately as best as we can. We just feel like that's how it works best because there's a lot of passion in this fandom. And when you start combining passion and work and passion and collecting, it muddies the water quite a bit. So we try to keep it small, because we don't want to really delay anything. We just want to kind of keep, what we're doing kind of up and up. And we're hoping to have quite a few things to debut at PMC 2026.
Oh yeah, I will definitely be there. I think the big question for me, because this is something I think a lot of us, we've been talking about this, how is, in the years that Power Rangers has been out, there's always been people that have tried to put out, Power Ranger apparel in some kind. I remember at one point there was Power Ranger hoodies that were out until they got a cease and desist from Saban because of that. So how do you guys avoid that sort of, that happening to you guys with respect to what you guys do?
Yeah, so I think it's definitely an interesting area when it comes to fashion. This stuff is iconic for the right people, but most of the people are like, "What is that?" They're what are you talking about? So it's definitely in that area of well, wait a minute, why would anybody even want that? So it's kind of how there's so many stormtroopers out there. They just really kind of raise awareness for the cause. And I want to say the mission behind everything. So that's what we're adding to. Nick and I would love to actually have those conversations with the people
higher ups
in the chairs. We'd love to, but we really do feel like that Power Rangers has always gotten kind of people kind of shoved everybody off of Power, they've always kind of been laughed out of a room or laughed at, like nobody takes us seriously.
Oh yeah. That's been like that. I think somebody mentioned like Hollywood kind of looks at Power Rangers like, what is this? Like,
yeah, and I mean, it's a kid's brand, I mean, it's not as, I don't want to say it's as appealing as like, other franchises or whatnot, but we really felt like when it came to Rescue series, we were really it was kind of a shot in the dark to see like, would anyone even care, are we going to be able to sustain any sort of demand if there is any? And I remember I turned to Nick and I said, are you cool with like going on this adventure if you and I just get to have these things to wear, and he's like, heck yeah. So, which by the way is a horrible like plan of attack for anything. Like never do that. That's like not the way to do it. So we really were kind of pleasantly surprised when the reception was really good. And things weren't flying off the shelves by any means, but it was definitely like, okay, well this makes sense. So when we started kind of developing Time series, Space series, all these other things, it only made sense to kind of rework how we do things. So now we went from two guys who were like had this cool idea and this dream to now we're a bit more structured. Yeah. So we're kind of getting everything in place to actually to have those talks and really be able to show up and say, hey, like this is what we do. We do not take this lightly. We have an actual passion for these things. Because a lot of these people, when they go ahead and they get all the thumbs up for everything, they come out with something that's just utter garbage. They come out with something that is very, I want to say like cookie cutter, run of the mill, stamped on, like, and then they put the tag on there saying like, it's good to go. Like said and that is not what we want at all. We are so like, I mean, if it came to that, I would rather just be like, guys, you can keep it, so, so we're really in that world of like, it was a happy accident. And now we're like, we went from wearing, t-shirts to business suits now. So we're in that transition phase. Nothing ever happens overnight. Nothing ever goes the way you expect it. You hope things go, but I think that if we can just keep doing what we're doing and deliver what the fans want and what they theoretically need, I think we're in a good spot. And so Nick and I are going to have some more to talk about on that in the future. But cool. Things are definitely on the up and up, and we're working. We actually have some great people in our corner too. So we've actually been hanging out and chatting with the original costume designer for the show.
Oh wow!
So she's been fantastic. We've actually, the show's been going on for so many years. So there's definitely people, who are, like just out in the wild. So they've come across our stuff. The cast, I mean, we've gotten, I don't want to like pat ourselves on the back, but we've definitely got like some really, really great compliments from, Red Lightspeed, the whole Lightspeed cast.
Oh, I took pictures with them at Ranger Stop in Atlanta, and they were like, "Oh man, y'all jackets are like," because I think it was a bunch of us that did like the photo ops with the Lightspeed crew, and they were like, "Oh man, like y'all came like." And I think all of them actually have their original jackets from the show.
They do. They do.
And I was just like, they were just like, wow, okay, it's like things have changed and stuff. I think that's one of the things that I love about the fandom and the fact that, like, at least in this arena, like you guys. There's a friend of mine from out of Baltimore, Al Combo. He's done like sort of nerd apparel related to like, Super Sentai. Cause I think he did the Kyoger jersey from one of the episodes.
Oh yeah.
So he did, so he did that. And like, that was like a huge hit for him. Like that one in a dark Kyoger jersey that he did, that was like blue. That was like a huge hit and all that. And even when you look at like Super X with all the athletic, like apparel and stuff. And it was just like, wow, we really are hitting this renaissance in nerdom where like the apparel is starting to match the kind of like, you can wear this every day, to what you're saying. Like you can just throw on a jacket and it's just like, all right, cool. I can just wear this like a normal jacket while I'm just running errands or whatever and stuff. And it's just kind of amazing that we've reached that point finally that it's happening and stuff.
It is. And that's a great point. So there's some other, like creators out there that are definitely jumping in on the PR, bandwagon or whatever you want to call it, the resurgence of it all. Mm-hmm. And everyone's got their own spin on things, which is great. I went to school for product development and product design. And mm-hmm. the most infuriating thing for me was that somebody would conceptualize this amazing concept art, and it would beautiful drawings, beautiful, like on paper, 3D renders, whatever. And by the time it got to production, it was this watered down version of what it could have been. And I had a professor one time tell me, and I was like, why is this happening? And he goes, look, a concept drawing is the closest thing to a lie you can tell without really speaking a lie. And I was like, I had to really kind of ponder on that. I was like, that's that makes total sense, because as a designer, you have all the intention of actually making what you drew, right? Mm-hmm. And just like politics and funding and just like manpower or like technology just isn't there yet. Mm-hmm. And that just always bothered me, especially when it came to like cool concept cars or whatever that was. So I really always set out, I said, if I'm ever going to make something, I'm going to make it the way that I remember it, or mm-hmm. the way that it should be done. And with stuff like this, the actors, I feel like anybody who has a Rescue Series jacket and actually has had any sort of interaction with the actors in it or about it, there's this really cool connection that they have, because the actors really resonate more with this, because this is what they wore. Like, yeah, the spandex is great, and all that stuff. And they get 1,000 people 10 times over coming up to them, sweaty,
yeah.
Everything exposed, their heart, everything. And they're just like, oh, that's cool. But that wasn't them 90% of the time in those suits, they maybe wore those 5% of the filming. Yeah. So this is the stuff that really resonates with them. And they're just like, man, I have so many good memories just rocking that, or sweating in that, or fighting in that, or doing stunts in that. So I think as we progress with what we're working on and what we're building, that we're going to start seeing a lot more people appreciate this stuff. Yeah. Not that it would diminish any of the actual, spandex, but it would actually, it's just going to add a different facet to like what people deem, that they could wear and actually, and connect with people.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about this. Cause like Absolutely. I said, I had fun talking with Nick about this, cause he was like, we were talking about the Lightspeed series and just everything else. Like he was just like, just the room at Power Morphicon with everybody seeing the Lightspeed. And even when we were all gathered on Sunday doing a photo op, like that was a fun experience. I ain't gonna lie. Like just that whole thing was just fun to see. Like all of us were like, oh my God, we're actually doing it.
Like, and I have to credit that day, because the weekend was kind of a whirlwind for us. Yeah. Again, debuting that physically in person, and people just like, getting very excited. The weekend was a little stressed for us, but that moment of the group photo, I really have to give credit to Power Rangers Australia on Instagram. Jeremy, he flew in from Australia and then was messaging me. He's like, hey man, it'd be really cool if we all got together for a group photo. And I was like, yeah, like I'd love to, but like, how do you do that? Like at that point, this was before the convention, so we had no idea that like we were going to get a response that we had. Yeah. And once we got the response, I kept telling everyone like, hey, by the way, on Sunday, we're going to try to get everybody together. And it was nothing official. It was just kind of like, we'll see
on the moment. I think you told me when I came by the table that Saturday, and you was like, yeah, Sunday, I think we're going to try to get a group photo. I was like, well, I'll be there Sunday, and I was like, all right, we'll see what happens.
And what was crazy is that, we posted that video, the snippet and the photos online, but there was like another like 10 to 15 people stuck in the convention waiting in lines with their jacket to get autographs and stuff. So the response that we got at PMC was awesome. It was just like, it made, Nick and I kind of like turn into 10-year-old kids again. And we were like, this is so great. And we really, it kind of solidified, like we kind of made a splash, which was great. But like, how do we top that? Like, what do we do? Yeah. And that's where Time Series comes into play. If I can get this right, but yeah. So
I feel you're going to get a lot of people doing cosplay with like the Lightspeed, TimeForce sort of stuff in the civilian attire. I think you're going to get a lot of that now, like especially with this. Like that's going to be crazy.
I think so too. And before, no one's been able to really to get this right. Yeah. And actually, so this is the prototype, but on the real on the final version, this actually has a little bit of a there's actually padding that is in here, so it's a little bit stiffer.
Okay.
So yeah, just some small things, some small changes, but all to stay in line with what Sentai Jacket stands for. It's quality. It's like, you know, it's quickness, it's accuracy, it's all that we really want to get into. But it's going to take some time for people to start converting to civilian stuff. But the want and the desire and the excitement's there. It's always been there. We just haven't had a way to get into it, or, you know, to zip it up. So so we're working hard on that. We're just trying to make those dreams come true. We really are. And if it's on a small scale, a big scale, you know, because everybody has a favorite season or whatever. But rest assured, we're definitely working on things for everybody and for every price point as well.
Yeah, cool. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, talk to me, and hopefully we can have you back on again, you know, and, you know, kind of just, you know, chatting about Ranger, you know, fandom and just everything else and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll definitely try to make it down to Ranger Stop Orlando. I'm gonna try, depending on how the schedule is and stuff. But
absolutely.
But yeah, thank you for being here, and catch you guys later. Peace out. Check out Sentai Jackets with SentaiJackets.com, and be sure to get your pre-order in. I'll actually have that in the link in the description.
Yeah, pre-orders are going to end September 19th at midnight West Coast time.
Okay.
So it gives people on the East Coast a little bit extra time to get that in. And they will still be available afterwards. It's just they're going to be that final price point. And we don't typically do any. We actually never do any sales. Everything is just the cheapest you're going to get it. Yeah, the cheapest you're going to get in on is pre-order, and that's going to be true for like every other thing that we're working on. So if you're on the fence, you know, I'd say go ahead and get it, and, you know, decide later, you know. But it's a very exciting time to be a fan right now.
Cool. Well, I will definitely keep in touch and kind of, you know, check it out and see where this goes. But like I said,
this 360,
even better.
I appreciate it, man. This is really awesome, and I'm glad you were able to work the schedule out, and I'm glad we got to do this. Nick was really bummed that he couldn't be on here, but this isn't going to be the last time. We're definitely going to be.
This is going to be a consistent thing. Like I'll always I think that's something that we've gotten feedback from folks like that watch our show, like Morphin Metacast, and even our Ring 3PG show. It's always like whenever we get to talk to people in different industries and stuff, people kind of like those sort of like interviews because it kind of gives them sort of like an inside baseball on different aspects, whether it's like you guys on the making some of the clothing apparel, and even people like in the comic industry that might be inkers or artists and all that stuff. They kind of like that sort of stuff. So I love it.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a ground level. It's real world. It's not just this like, oh, this company I can't talk to. And it's Nick and I, we run all the social media. So if you hit us up, I mean, typically it's one of us who you're speaking with. So don't be afraid to ask us questions about fit, size, all that stuff. We want to help you get into the best fit that you can.
Cool. Well, that's it. And we will catch you guys later. Peace out.
All right. Bye guys. Cheers.
Dude.